Shalom Yasharallah, this your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, I can't pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here quick lesson, dealing with this here doomsday clock being moved to 100 seconds to midnight, all right, which is like how the scriptures tell us to measure the time diligently in itself by what? Reading the prophecies, all right. But also Esau on the flip side also has like the same scenario going on as far as Revelation 12:12 goes. It says woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you with great wrath. Why? Because he knoweth he have but a short time. So he's looking at these things and knowing how certain things go out. Now if you understand, and flipping it over into their words, right, they have this thing called MAD, mutual assured destruction, which means if you have two different blocks, right, you have the Russian block, all right, and then you have the US, NATO, and EU block, all right. So basically you have these two different sides now, and these are the two sides that are pretty much going to be going towards each other. If one side launches just one nuclear missile onto the other side's response, what they have to do, doesn't matter which side it is, what they have to do is to release all their nuclear missiles, right? Now, for Russia, they have what they call a dead hand switch or a dead man switch, which this came after a little bit after World War II, all right, whereas they have these sensors around to where if there was not a human being on any of the territory of Russia, all right, and there was a nuclear missile that was launched off over that way, it will automatically trigger like a missile to shoot up into the air, which is like a how you call it, like a beacon or something like that, which would trigger all their other nukes to go off and hit all of their adversaries, right? So this is why you're what they call MAD, mutual assured destruction, because if one side launches off, the other side has to launch all their missiles because they don't know if they'll be around to retaliate. They don't know if it's going to hit a dire infrastructure to which they can't launch anything else off. So it's hey, fuck it, we're going to just go ahead and launch off. All right, so they understand once we get to that end point that, that's the end all be all for their situations. Even, and some of these guys like, what was his name? Albert Pike, I believe, said it, because this was the guy who designed World War I, World War II, and World War III way before they ever took place. All right, but I believe it was him that said, I don't know how World War III is going to be fought, but World War IV is going to be fought with sticks and stones, right? Basically saying that everything was going to be obliterated in World War III, going to the thermonuclear missiles, right? And again, this was way before World War I took place, all right? But nevertheless, they understand that once, this time, they get closer to this here time, that's it for them, all right? But let's read this here and see why they moved this here clock a little bit closer. It says, doomsday clock poised at 100 seconds to midnight. Scientists cite nuclear arms race and online lying as threats, all right? Because, hey, Esau can't hide himself no more, all right? The Lord is making Esau bare. All right, so his secrets are being uncovered. And what's part of his secrets? What? His secret counsels. Going into his secret counsels is what? Psalms 83, trying to basically make Israel no longer be a nation. The name of Israel. They're trying to wipe us out, man. Complete genocide, man. All right, also going into what? The mark of the beast, RFID chip. The RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. They want to sit here and chip everybody or whatever, not to usher in their new world order. And what you've been seeing since 2020 all the way up until this day is them switching systems, switching over into their new technical age. It's like going from the Industrial Revolution and everything like that, where they had these factories and everything like that, so on and so forth, and everybody's lives changed and everything like that. All right, that's what we're going through right now, man. They have artificial intelligence, they got robots, they got all these things that can do the work for you. All right, and all these things, they don't need you no more, man. All right, so now they're trying to put these chips inside of everybody and transfer, make you a cyborg or whatever, whatnot, Look up Agenda 2045. That's the whole plan, and you'll see how close we are to getting that plan implemented and completed. All right, but this one here says, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists Doomsday Clock, a construct representing the threat to humanity from the nuclear to natural, remains at its in the red at 100 seconds to midnight for 2021. Its proprietors have warned. Now they're saying here that what's bringing us closer is what? Nuclear threats. All right, because again they know it's going to end off in this what they call mutually assured destruction with thermonuclear war. All right, they know that this is going to be the end all be all. All right, now with Biden going in there and they're just pretty much shaking up either all their allies or even some of their adversaries. Sometimes you got to keep your adversary cool so that he don't go out there and start flipping his shit. Just like I believe it was Trump who pulled out of the nuclear arms deal, all right, which forced Russia to start developing more shit. And you see, that's when you see the hypersonic missiles and the nuclear powered cruise missiles, all right, and their advancements of their nuclear missiles, man. All right, and so what? America's far behind on these things, but nevertheless, hey, they're being brought into the king of terrors, you know, slowly but surely. It says the scientists released their annual forecast on Wednesday, highlighting a resurgent nuclear arms race, climate change, online misinformation about the pandemic as three existential threats humanity must face down if the species is to survive. So going into this, all right, they named the arms race, which we know it's inevitable. Once they get their missiles and enough missiles and in play and everything like that, it's going to be, hey, let's go ahead and launch them, you know. But nevertheless, it says climate change, online misinformation about the pandemic. All right, now when you're going into this here pandemic situation, we know what's the skeletal core behind all this here situation. All right, this medical situation is going to lead to what? The mark of the beast, the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast they're trying to implant inside of you, man. All right, so we know as they're going through these here phases, as you've seen, the first phase was the mask, second phase is these jabs. All right, the third phase is going to be the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. All right, but yet and still, the scriptures say, how are the secret things of Esau sought up and searched out, you know? The Lord will do nothing but reveal his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. All right, he was going to give them no rest day or night. All right, so we've been on the highways and the byways and uploading on the internet. Also, while you're seeing all these changes to the YouTube and all these other sites, they're down in all these other sites that basically is not controlled by the Google conglomerate and things like that, or governmental conglomeration of this technology sector or whatever, whatnot, to where they don't have control over it. All right, they're shutting these things down because why? People are moving to these other sites to have this free speech and not be censored. All right, but then your big box companies like your Facebook, your Instagrams, your Google, and your YouTube. All right, they're the ones that's heavily censoring basically the truth from going out, man. All right, and they're citing the fact of you know, our truth that we're speaking is inciting riots and everything and making people upset about everything. Like, well, in reality, it's the fact that your wickedness is being exposed. If I was to tell somebody to, like, yo, this dude has been stealing out your bank account all the time, and the person you've been stealing from get mad, you shouldn't be mad at me. I'm not the one that's over here messing you up. I just happen to tell you that this guy was over here stealing from you. You should be mad with him. So this is why the people are getting a little bit upset, because they're starting to realize these things. Just like, you know, before 2020, everybody used to call us conspiracy theorists, nuts, and just out there, right? But then all the things we've been telling them, they starting to face it here in last year in 2020. You know, as far as the lockdowns, we didn't lock down nobody's job and tell everybody they couldn't go nowhere. We didn't force nobody to wear no mask. We didn't force nobody to get a jab or lose their job or any of these things, man. It's the government, and it's for a certain reason. You know, we didn't make these jabs to have these side effects to start harming people or things like that. We don't make the jabs and things like that, man. But yet and still, they're blaming us for these uprisings and things like that because of the fact that we're telling people the truth about these things, man. All right, we warned you about the jab, and what do you start seeing? All right, people not faring so well once they take them, man. All right, so if anything, they should be mad with them for the misinformation that they're spreading, man. All right, they talking about 95% effective with no side effects. Everybody will be good. But when you watch on TV, 95% of the people that they're showing you on TV getting these jabs, either getting fake jabs or they having some bad side effects with it, man. All right. It says the scientists, let me go back. It says while the clock hands haven't moved since 2020, when it ticked into its current position, the scientists behind it have cautioned urgently against allowing the current state of affairs to settle in as a new abnormal. It says, while the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons took effect earlier this month, the 50 countries that signed it have no nukes themselves. And this is something that's, you know, just some BS that they put out in the news. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, we want to sign this here nuclear arms deal to where anybody going to develop no nukes, get no nukes or whatever, whatnot. And the only people that signed this was all the nations who didn't have nukes. But all the nations with nukes, that's threats to anybody, none of them signed the paperwork, man. All right. It says, and the treaty is an effort to push their nuclear-armed neighbors towards disarmament. As of 2019, all those nuclear-armed neighbors were working on modernization modernizing their arsenal. The bulletin called on nuclear-armed nations, especially the U.S., to resist the temptation to beef up their nuclear programs and to take disarmament seriously, warning that for the potential for stumbling into nuclear war has never been greater. In which they don't realize that this is inevitable. This is how the end all be all goes, because it's not their nuclear weapons. All right, like the Lord say, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals, that bringeth forth the weapon of destruction. All right, he created the waster to destroy. All right, he created the waster to destroy it. It was created to do a job, and the Most High is going to accomplish that job with what he created it for. All right, it says climate change too remains a dire threat despite the drop in emissions in the early months of the pandemic, with several nations on the road to recovery already. Emissions have largely bounced back, the scientists pointed out, a problem that will only increase as more economies reopen. Citing wildfires, cyclones over the past year, they urged countries to direct stimulus funds towards green energy, chiding the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank for essentially sabotaging low-income countries' efforts to clean up their energy production by weighting aid packages heavily towards fossil fuels. Alongside these more concrete threats, the atomic scientists saw fit to throw in the pandemic infodemic, described by the World Health Organization as an overabundance of information that makes it hard for people to find trustworthy sources and reliable guidance when they need it. No, the truth is it's hard for you to tell a lie when the results don't produce what the hell you're trying to tell people. You know what I'm saying? And it's easy for people to believe us because all you got to do is just reason with us. If we tell you, look, don't take this here jab because it's not going to be too healthy for you, and then people telling you, oh no, it's 95% effective and it's good, you'll be good, this and that. Like, yo, you got two different opinions. One saying don't do it, the other one saying do it. Now, when you see people actually taking these situations and then you see the outcome of it, all right, it's up to you to decide who you want to believe in. They're like, well, these guys told us not to take it because it's unhealthy for you. And these guys told us it was healthy for us. But then we seen the people who taking it, it's not fair and well for them. All right. So look, they're talking about oh, this is a infodemic. These conspiracy theorists are spreading lies and people are starting to believe the lies, and this is harmful to people. The shit that you pushing is harmful to people, man. All right. But this is them, how they saying they're projecting, what they're doing onto us, man. They're lying to the population, and the proof is in the pudding. We're living in a time now where people don't have to sit there and have faith in the words that we're saying and just believe on us or whatever, whatnot. You just listen to what we're telling you and turn on the news and see if it's not true or not, man. All right. I don't know if I read this part or not, but it says, let me just read it again. Alongside these more concrete threats, the atomic scientists saw fit to throw the pandemic infodemic, described by the World Health Organization as an overabundance of information that makes it hard for people to find trustworthy sources and reliable guidance when they need it. Ironically said, pandemic itself is not an existential threat to humanity, taking a far more level-headed view of the virus while depicting too much information as potentially apocalyptic catastrophe. And what they mean by that is, why they talking about it could be an apocalyptic catastrophe, is because their witchcraft is waning low right now, man. They can't just brainwash the people like they want and lie to them like they want. That witchcraft just work on them, man. All right, the witchcraft is no longer working on the people. So this is why it's a catastrophic event going on right now, because of the fact they just told you that the pandemic itself ain't a real threat, but the fact of the matter is they can't misinform these people no more like that, man. All right. The doomsday clock scientists blame social media and its business model built on emotionally manipulating its users for internet fuel undercutting of rational discourse and policy making. They want to talk about rationality. All right. Again, we telling you to not do this. They telling you to do this because of the side effects of all these things, right? What are you seeing happening, man? It's a rational decision, man. All right. If I tell you that fire is hot and somebody else tell you the fire ain't hot, and you actually touch fire and you get burned, what's the rational decision you're going to come to? Maybe this guy was right telling me the fire is hot and it's going to burn me because I felt it. You know what I'm saying? I can experience these things, man. All right. The doomsday clock scientist, I just read that. Yeah. It says disinformation running rampant on the internet has not only hampered government's ability to respond to the pandemic, meaning that they can't just simply just brainwash the folks like, oh, we got a pandemic, we need to jab everybody up, and everybody go rush to line up. Now they got people saying, I don't know about taking all that, the Tuskegee experiment, all these other things and so on and so forth. We don't really trust our enemies, never trust our enemy, right? So you have people actually thinking outside the box, thinking for themselves right now, man. And the government don't like that, man. They want to sit there and tell you whatever, and then, monkey see, monkey do. All right. It says disinformation running rampant on the internet has not only hampered government's ability to respond to the pandemic, but could have even more drastic consequences in a nuclear crisis. They said a situation that could perhaps lead to a nuclear war that ends world civilization. The scientists warned, noting that the climate change debate has already been similarly polarized. If humanity is to avoid existential catastrophe, one that would dwarf anything it has yet seen, it's going to be a time like never before since there was a nation even unto this time. National leaders must do a far better job countering disinformation, heeding science, and cooperating to diminish global risk. Or let me translate that. National leaders must do far better job of brainwashing, all right, the population, heeding their pseudoscience, and cooperating to diminish global risk. While governments owe it to their constituents to communicate honestly and effectively, few people really expect them to do that. Public relation firms Elderman recent trust barometer survey found earlier this month, nor do people expect the truth from the media. It found a situation that does not bode well for the scientists trying to rescue the reputation of both institutions. All right, so basically, their witchcraft is no longer really working on the people like that no more, man. All right, they're starting to wake up from the laws and everything like that. All right, so now let's jump into some scriptures real quick. We're going to start here in the book of Matthew, chapter 24 and 36, because this is how, a lot of people like to say, when you bring up these things and everything like that, hey, man, we at the end, the Lord is about to return and whatever, whatnot. They'll tell you this. It says, but of the day and the hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only, right? So they say no man knows the day or the hour, which is correct, because Yahushua told us, we ain't going to know the exact day. We can't say it's going to be March 31st at 1:37 p.m. is when the nuke's going to start raining down, and that's going to be it. We don't know the day or the hour, man. But, we can read here through Matthew 24. So let me read this again, and then we'll go back up, all right? Matthew 24 and 36. It says, but of the day and the hour knoweth no man, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall be the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving into marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Which is saying, the day is going to come like a thief in the night unto the people that aren't watching. All right. But then when you get unto us, we're constantly watching by doing what? Measuring time diligently by what? Looking at the prophecies as they're coming to pass, man. All right. So it says, let me read verse 36 again. Matthew 24 and 36. But of the day and the hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. And, simple-minded ass Christians will just take that and run with, we don't know. So it can justify them doing their wickedness. They don't want to come to the light because their deeds will be exposed. They don't want to get their lives together, right? They don't want to repent. All right. Matthew 24, same chapter, verse 3. This is how it all starts off. And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? So they flat out just asked him, hey, when you returning? And what are the signs of thy coming? Not the day and the hour, because we just read Yahushua say no man knows the day or the hour, and that's at the end of all of this, right? Now, in between all of this, he's going to give them a bunch of different signs and everything like that, right? Let me just run down to verse 6. It says, you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So these are some of the signs that we would understand before the coming of the Lord, man. We would have these different signs. There would be wars, uproars of the people around the world, and so on and so forth. Matter of fact, let me grab that in Luke real quick. This is the same thing that was being read. This is Luke 21 and verse 25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, and the seas and the waves roaring. All right. And that's where we at right now, because you have distress of nations with all these uprisings and uproars of the people around the globe, the pandemic and everything like that, man. Global economic downturn and collapse. All right. Verse 26 says, and men's hearts fell in them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. All right. So, hey, you got people that's like worried about whether or not their job's going to come back or if their business is going to survive. They're going to lose all their money in the stock market and so on and so forth. Or they scared that they got to go get a jab or whatever, whatnot. So, people are fearful of the different things that's going on the earth right now, man. We're in that time frame where things would get catastrophic, man. All right. Just like in the time of Noah, no man knew the day or the hour. All right. But, you can measure the time diligently based off of what? Noah building that their ark. The Lord wouldn't have told Noah to start building the ark. And on day one, all right, that he, is starting to gather his first piece of wood, that the Lord would bring the destruction. All right. But then if you had some kind of spiritual common sense, you would see oh shit, the ark is being finished. Oh shit, he's starting to gather up some animals. Oh shit, he pretty much got all the animals gathered. It seemed like he about to, this about it. He about to put that ark to use at this point in time. Then you'd be like, you don't know the day or the hour that the rain is going to start falling, but you can measure the time by looking at the damn ark being built, man, and the animals being put up in the ark, man. All right, same thing here, man. We were given all these different signs of the times that was coming. So now let's go from there to the book of 2nd Esdras, and it's going to break it down even further. All right. 2nd Esdras chapter 9 and verse 1. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. All right, so we're measuring the time diligently. How are we going to measure the time? It says, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I told you before, and which we just was reading some of those signs. All right, we're living in those times. We're living in a time of the beginning of sorrows, man. All right, where you're hearing more about nation versus nation, wars and rumors of wars. All right, you got pestilence, famines, and plagues going on around the whole globe. All right, you also have people losing their minds and how do I say, uprising up against their governments and things like this, man. Insurrections around the world, man. The governments are being destabilized where they can't control their people no more. People are waking up from the witchcraft of this damn devil and waking up to his lies, man. All right, so he's starting to lose control over the whole situation, man. It's about time for him to give it up, man. All right. Let me read one again. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou see part of the signs past which I told thee before, then thou shalt understand it is the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So, hey, when we start seeing part of the signs past, then we're going to be able to know that, hey, the Lord's about to start visiting the world. And we see, the Lord had us out on the highways and the byways prior to 2020. All right, we've been prophesying. You've seen the fruit started coming in. Camp started expanding around the whole globe. They started hitting on the YouTube and the famine of the word and things like that, man. All right, then 2020 hit, man. Then what? The beginning of sorrow started happening. All these different destructions and plagues and pestilence started taking place, man. All right, then now what? We see them pushing the mark of the beast heavily right about now, man. So we know that, let me grab that real quick. This is Matthew 24 and 21. For there should be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. All right. Like we was just reading that article, how they were saying things is getting to a catastrophic scenario where, you having things come upon the earth, whereas, the earth's never seen these types of things. Verse 22, and except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. So we know that we're running down the clock real fast because why? They're mandating that basically every American be jabbed up and everything like that, man. All right. And we know that we're not supposed to be taking those things. So we know that the Lord is not, salvation is nigh at hand, man. All right. Let me go back. Second Esdras 9, and let me just start at the top again. It says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I told thee before, then thou shalt understand it's the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, all right, all throughout the whole earth, all right, then thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Hey, just like with Noah and them, right? He was out there preaching and prophesying 120 years. But now as you see him building this here boat, this big old ark, you know what I'm saying? Then he's starting to gather up all the animals like, oh, shit, I think something's finna pop off for real. All right. Hey, the Lord about to start bringing the rain because Noah's sitting on the ark. The door's open, but he's sitting on the ark. All the animals on there. He ain't no longer building. So it's only a matter of time, measuring the time diligently before the Lord start bringing down the rain. All right. Verse 5, for like all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So even so the times of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects. All right. So look, we're right now looking at all these signs taking place. All right, everything shaping up. All these news articles coming out. Joe Biden being elected president and all these different changes that he's making. All right, pushing us further and further into what? The time of the end, the transfer of from this here system to the new world order system. All right, to where, if the Lord wouldn't speed up these days, no flesh would be saved, man. All right, so hey, Esau's calling it like it is, man. The doomsday clock is being pushed closer and closer to midnight. Oh, let me oh man, where's that precept at? Go back to the book of Luke. I think it's in Luke. All right. So now we just read, let me go back up and read again. Because I just read this in Luke 21:24, it says, or 25, it says, and there should be signs in this. Now, you have to understand where I read in Matthew 24, verse 3 about the signs of the end, all right, and everything like that. This is basically being reiterated again, all right? They just worded it a little different. So, going back to the signs of the end, Luke 21 and 25, there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, and the seas and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and looking after those things which are coming on the earth, and for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. It says, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the cloud with power and great glory. Hey, you seeing more and more sightings of the chariots as well. Verse 28. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. So, hey, they're moving the doomsday clock closer and closer to midnight. All right, we know now that our redemption is drawn nigh. All right. Verse 29. And verse 29, it says, and he spake to them a parable. Behold the fig tree, like a metaphor. Behold the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, ye see and know that your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. So likewise, when you see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of the Most High is nigh at hand. So this is basically the same thing as like going into what? Measuring the time diligently. All right. And no man knows the day or the hour, but what we know the signs to look for, man. All right. This is how we're measuring the time diligently. We don't know the day or the hour. All right. But we know, just like looking at the trees and things like that, man. All right. Or like I like to put it in a more layman type terms. All right. You can go outside and see it's cloudy outside, look like it's about to start raining or whatever, whatnot. You can tell, hey, man, it's about to rain out here, man. But you don't know the exact minute and second that the first couple raindrops start falling on the ground and soaking the ground up, man. You don't know the exact day, minute, second, and hour that it's going to happen, but you can clearly go outside and see the rain clouds coming or whatever, whatnot, and be like, yep, it's about to rain. And that's how we can measure these times diligently in itself. So, of course, we don't know the day or the hour, but we clearly know the signs of the times of our salvation, man. All right. Let me just finish this off. 36 down to 36, 31. So likewise, when you see these things come to pass, know ye that the kingdom of the Most High is at hand. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. Take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and the cares of this life, so that the day come upon you unawares. And so this is why we're to be watching or measuring the time diligently, by watching the news and these prophecies take place. All right. And hastening the day, because, hey, salvation is right around the corner, baby. Like it is nearer than what we believe, man. Just me speaking as a man, just spiritually speculating and measuring. All right. Like, I don't really see us being here, 2 years down the road, 5 years down the road seem a little far fetched for me, just measuring the time diligently, because I can see them trying to push this RFID chip, maybe by the end of this here year, or sometime midway through the year, the end of this here year, once they get everybody jabbed up. Who knows? Maybe in the first 3 months, they might have, the majority of the U.S. population jabbed up. Then they rolling out the third phase, which is the chip. They could try to have everybody chipped and start pushing that chip by the end of the year, man. But nevertheless, when we see all these things, man, we got to lift up our heads, because our salvation draweth nigh, man. We need to sober up. It's time to wake up, man, because look, the day of the Lord is closer than what we believe. All right. Verse 35, for as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. All right, because wow, they just living it up in this here world, man. They waiting on everything to open back up, things to go back to normalcy. Can't wait to get these here jabs and everything like that, but they don't realize that's their destruction. Verse 36, watch ye therefore and pray always that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and to stand before the Son of Man. All right, so hey, you know, this is what we're praying for, you know, that we stay in this truth, stay watching. You know, we don't get how do I say, too idle or whatever, whatnot, to where we stop watching and trying to go back into this here world, man. Everything is done, man. We're not coming back. You know, they had, I think it was either Dr. Fauci or Bill Gates the other day talking about, oh, we don't see everybody going back to any kind of normalcy till about 2022, 2023, you know, so on and so forth, man. You know, and that's what they were saying about last year. Oh, it'll just be a couple months before we get back to normalcy. Oh, by the summertime. Oh, by December. Now they're talking about pushing it further on down. But this is actually the new normal, man, because they're trying to get this new world order system, man. All right, let me grab one more precept. We'll close out with that in the book of Job, chapter 20 and 22. Let me see, 21. 22. Job 22. Job 20 and 22, it says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. All right, in the fullness of his sufficiency. It says, when he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he's eating. So when he's about to fill his belly, right? Job 5 and 12 says, he's disappointed the device of the crafty, so their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wiles in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. So he's trying to get his new world order set up and everything like that. But nevertheless, once he's at like damn near 90%, the Most High is about to rain those missiles down on him, man. So we can measure the time diligently, saying, hey, man, that doomsday clock gonna hit midnight once he start pushing off this here RFID chip, man. So I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation, much love for you, Aki, and pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.